a business is great, but if you don't have cash flow, you can't run a business. And so you want to do your most important leading activities by 10 or 11 a.m. every day, right? That business development, sales, marketing, whatever you want to call it, you want to get out there and you want to be focusing your day and prioritizing the calls, the meetings, the proposals.
Financial independence,
freedom,
financial picture,
independent financially,
financial future,
financial freedom and wealth,
financial independence.
Get your fill, financial independence and long life. Hey, welcome to another episode of Get Your Fill, Financial Independence and Long Life, where we explore ways to achieve those two goals. And today we're speaking with John Dwoskin, who is a business coach, and he is going to help us to kick you out of your 9-to-5, get rid of the W-2 and embrace that entrepreneurial life that you've been chasing for how long now? Yeah. John, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, believe me, the pleasure is all mine. So that's something that people struggle with. Have you always been an entrepreneur?
Well, I started a business out of college with my brother and a buddy. And then after we sold that and our contract was up, I got a job because I wanted to work for a company for a year. And then I got into commercial real estate where I was an independent contractor. So I considered that kind of, half entrepreneurial. And then I started my own coaching company about 8.5 years ago. So my blood is entrepreneurial. Yeah.
Yeah. You just had that 1 year stray where you just said, all right, I'm going to try it.
You're there. Yeah. A couple of things. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But it was in there. But I think, isn't that one of the hardest things? So you didn't have that like right out of college. You got this steady stream of income every week. You're getting this paycheck and then you get your vacation time and stuff. So you maybe, but I know you have dealt with people who have that separation anxiety, right? I've got this security over here and then I've got this dream over here. And how do you declaw yourself from the security?
I after I sold my internet company, I got into commercial real estate. I was in commercial real estate I was a broker for 6 years. And then I ran my office as a manager for 6 years. And so that was what you're talking about, right? The base, the commission of the growth of the office. But one of the things that was that kind of has always been my lighthouse is the quote, Tony Robbins, success minus fulfillment or success without fulfillment equals failure. And so when I got to the point where it wasn't that I still like the people, I still love the company, but I wasn't fulfilled in doing what I was doing. And so I wanted more. I'd always wanted to start a coaching company from the time I was 18. And so, if not then when? And, when I was in my early 40s, you begin thinking, well, okay, but if I don't do it now, then I'm in my late 40s or then I'm in my early 50s. And, at some point what I did was, and I actually was nervous. As I was leaving commercial real estate to get into, to start my own business, my coaching business, I had an opportunity to go in-house for a year and restructure a company. So I did that for a year and then left that to just, begin my company. And so it does have it's not an easy path always. I was fortunate. I was able to do it because when I was 23, I started and sold a company. And so I was able to do it. But I think the key is, you got to take it in small bites, both mentally and financially.
Yeah. Well, because you were ready from a financial perspective, you had that buffer, you had some savings or some investments that were going to keep paying you, but there is more than just the money thing, right? Right. Especially for people who are in corporate, it's like, you have to get there. It's probably less true now, but like when I was in corporate, you had to be there at a certain time. You had to do certain things, someone else was dictating your schedule. Right. And I've noticed that it can be hard for entrepreneurs when now it's their schedule, like, oh, I'll do it as soon as I do this other thing. And they can find themselves just sort of not being particularly productive in the course of a day.
Well, I think what's interesting is, Christine, is one of the things that people need to remember is that, what work does is exactly what you just said. What having a job does in any corporate job is there is built-in structure. There's built-in times you need to be there, times you can leave, meetings throughout the day, et cetera, expectations. When you're on your own, you have to infuse that. And sometimes I think a lot of people forget because a lot of people aren't great at structuring themselves and being disciplined. And that's why they need accountability partners or coaches or things of that nature to kind of keep the simple going, because the simple, when done consistently, compounds to something really, really big. And so when I am coaching people like you're talking about, it's over regimenting things that don't come naturally. I'm not suggesting that you become so rigid you can't move through the day, but whatever doesn't come naturally, like, for example, using your calendar, time blocking certain things, understand you need to become a master at using your calendar and color coding it, and and kind of getting structure and routines into your world so you can build the system of your day, so then everything begins to take care of itself.
Yeah. Well, and you're absolutely right. It's very easy to spend the entire day on your email, right? And just feel like, oh, I worked really hard today, but you actually didn't do any revenue producing activities, or, right? So you're right. Like what is your highest value thing that you can do today? Not like, how can I spend the next 8 hours?
Right. Correct. Right. Right.
Yeah. How do you help people to determine where they should be focusing their time?
Well, it really is. It's all focused mostly on your leading activities, right? The leading activities. What are the things that are going to generate income in dollars? Because, the business is great, but if you don't have cash flow, you can't run a business. And so, you want to do your most important leading activities by 10 or 11 a.m. every day, right? That business development, sales, marketing, whatever you want to call it. You want to get out there and you want to be focusing your day and prioritizing the calls, the meetings, the proposals, during prime business hours, which are typically, 9 to 4, 10 to 3, whatever it can fluctuate. But during those times, you want to be on the phone with a client, a prospect, on your way to one, with one. People get lost in doing proposals during the day, and then all of a sudden 1 day turns into 3 weeks. You haven't done anything to actually grow your business. And so again, the discipline of leading activities that lead your day every single day. And it's about the system to build. You build the system, you incorporate it, and you have to execute, and you have to be patient with a long-term view, meaning the call I make today, it may not sprout for 9 months, but that's where you got to keep on going.
Yeah. Well, that you bring up an excellent point, or you alluded to an excellent point, because you've got nothing else to do. So you front end your day with all kinds of great revenue generating and client generating activities. And then all of a sudden you get a whole bunch of clients and you're like, okay, I got to work on these clients now. And so you end up now with this cycle because you haven't been doing your morning routine and doing your revenue because I'm too busy to make more calls to get more business that I also won't be able to handle.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
How can you help? It's just consistency, right? To like stay out of this.
It's figuring out what the micro goals are, right? So the busier you get, sometimes business development, in this example, stops, right? Oh, I have a healthy pipeline, so I can stop. But you never can stop prospecting. You never can stop marketing, because you never know what will turn in the world that will affect your pipeline. And then you got to start all over. Yeah. And so it's not all or nothing. So it's looking at your day looking at your goals in big numbers, reverse engineering them by the quarter, by the month, by the week, by the day. And every month is a different season. Every 30 days is a different season. And so you got to adjust your business plan accordingly, which means on Sunday, you're looking at your week and, okay, Monday may be, just to kind of stick on kind of like this sales person theme, because it's easy to back into it. On Monday this week, I can make 1 call, right? But I'm still active. Tuesday, I can make 5 calls. Wednesday, I can make 15. Thursday, I can make 20. And Friday, I can make 1, because I have multiple meetings and things of that, but you got to be really very conscious, present with intent to create the system of how to kind of look at each day and still do the leading activities no matter what.
Yeah.
No matter what. Yeah.
And I want to bring this leading activity question around, because when a solopreneur is starting their business, is it always clear what those activities are going to be? Does that make sense?
It should be, because it's got to be, you want to be talking to people, getting in front of people, and asking for business in ways. I mean, that's a quick gist. There's a lot to each of those, but it's front facing. It's, before you launch your business, make sure that you have something that people will buy. Your messaging is clear.
Mhm.
You know who your avatars are, how you're marketing and what you're doing before you really launch. That's a lot of work. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of months. It
Yeah.
takes a lot of months to get it really right. And then you're always evolving it, even like a smidge a day.
Yeah. And it's an excellent point too. You might go into your business thinking, oh, I know exactly who's going to buy my stuff.
Right.
And then you actually start selling it and you realize, that's not, those people don't care about my stuff. They've got some other solution that I didn't even know existed, but these other people like my stuff for some reason that I didn't even think to
Right.
use it for. Right. And sometimes that happens.
Right.
Nice if it can happen before you just spend a lot of money marketing to these other people. Right.
Right. Exactly.
So are there like tools and ways that you can do that before, like if you're just starting out and you're like, I've got this widget and I think it's going to be great for this person, to test that and make sure that it's definitely going to happen that way?
Well, you gotta start reaching out and talking to people about it. I think sometimes people are scared to share their idea or give their idea because somebody may steal it. But you got to just be confident in the way that you're doing something, the energy that you're bringing to it, because people will give you feedback that will shift things just 1%, which will make a big difference.
Yeah.
And that little shift is gonna make it easier for your future client to receive what you're selling and say yes to, because they have to be able to know 1, 2, 3, this is what I'm getting. This is what I'm, and if they have to overthink about it, it becomes really hard. It becomes hard because then you have to oversell
Yeah.
when you don't necessarily want to.
Yeah. That's a great point too. I know a lot of people who sell something that's a little bit, that the reason that you want to buy it is because something that it's not clear. Like I know a guy who sells glasses, like drinking glasses, and they're like practically indestructible. So he sells them like 1-to-1, right? He's selling them to somebody and saying, look, try to bang this glass around. Look how it doesn't break. I mean, it's a whole story that he tells,
Right.
which really is going to limit his future, his capability, because if he's not standing there selling it to you, then you're like, why do I want to pay this much for a stupid drinking glass? Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
I actually have an example of that that's a little bit different, where I was in a shop just the other day in Portland, Maine, and they make bags out of old sails, like ship sails.
Yeah.
And I looked at some of the prices and I thought, I mean, it's kind of like a beach bag, something that you get for like $10 at Target. And it was like $200. And I thought, it's cute, but $200. But then I was leaving, there's like a sign, there's a big giant sale there, and there's a sign like, oh, this is how this works. And every single one is handmade and things like that. So
Yeah.
I guess I'm going down a road asking about products that are not so mainstream, something that someone hasn't encountered before. They're really not familiar with it. And how do you make that so it's not a 1-to-1 type sale?
Right. Well, I think it's all about, marketing at that point, right? It's a lot about marketing and understanding, a 200 bag that you're talking about has a certain audience who wants to be connected to, either going to the beach or, sailing, or just the coolness of it, or, but I think it's really, you got to look at, okay, what does it cost to get a client? And what's the lifetime value of that client? So in this scenario, okay, well, how many people are going to come back and buy another bag for $200? Probably not a lot. I would say that the person who's going to come back and buy a second bag isn't going to do it. We have my wife bought one of those bags, and we were just cleaning out stuff of our house, and we actually threw the one that we bought away because it was like old, and we were like, do we want this anymore? So it's funny you brought that up. We literally just did it the other day. And so, we'd never buy another one.
Yeah.
So I think you got to look at the lifetime value of what you're selling, and you have to work really, really, really hard to sell one, and then there's no lifetime that client. So in my coaching business, for example, when somebody starts with me, they typically work with me long term. And so there's a lifetime value. I have another coaching company called Launch 3, which is a coaching platform for 18 to 26-year-olds. I, as a business coach, work with solopreneurs to Fortune companies and everything in between. But this coaching platform is for 18 to 26-year-olds, and it's $25 a month right now. And so we priced it so people will keep on coming back. There's a lifetime value for the company and tons of value for them. And so I think that's really, really important when you're coming up with something. Can you scale it? How are you monetizing it? What's the labor, the cost, the profitability, the margins? Is it, how time intensive is it? Things of that nature.
Yeah. But for you too, it makes sense to have done it the way you did it, right? You started with a big product that these people, you're almost like growing your next group of clients, right? Because they're already going to trust you. They're already going to understand all the value that you're bringing to them. And once they feel like they have got their business to a point where they feel they can afford you, then they're going to want to do business with you. So you're like, you've almost, they're seeds that you've planted, right?
Correct.
Not everybody necessarily is going to continue with you, but of course, not every business succeeds anyway when you're starting out. Yeah, it's genius.
Yeah. Okay. It's great. Well, it's a great platform because I have a business partner for that business, and we are kind of, the intent is, we feel like, and we hear this from people as well. And I have a 17 and 20-year-old, and my business partner has a 20 and 18-year-old. And we believe that the young adults graduating college today don't have the tools that they need to really excel. So we're teaching them everything about life and business and branding. And we have guest speakers every Wednesday come and speak to the members and then we have something called the Mentor Hub, which I sent you the link, where the members can just, reach out to a mentor and say, hey, I want to get into this field. Can I pick your brain? Right. And so, and then in reverse, the mentors can go into the Mentor Hub, the Member Hub, and say, hey, I want to find some recruits. I want to find some interns. So it's we're going to teach them a lot that's going to get them a little bit further.
So it's a passion project as well as an incubator.
Correct. As well as a revenue generator.
Yeah.
It's a business. It's not a nonprofit. It's a business.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But it's still, at $25 a person, right? If it was just about the money, potentially charge them more, right?
Way more. But we want to attract the masses.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a whole nother business model, right? Should I sell one bag at $200 once to one person and then have to go find a whole nother client that's going to buy this next $200 bag? Or should I sell a bag for $10 and sell it to this, the same person's going to buy 50 of them in their lifetime, plus they're going to buy them for their friends or whatever, it's easier to find a customer.
Yeah. Yeah. This one has a little bit of a popcorn effect. Once somebody gets an internship and somebody gets a piece of knowledge, they tell their friends, 3 more people are interested, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah. And the goal is to grow it to, 5,000-10,000 people.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
But, and again, you've done that by, this is not a one-to-one thing, right? You've pulled yourself out, you've made it automated, and that allows you to scale to, if it's one person or 5,000, 10,000, 50,000 people, it's not going to take you more time necessarily to do this job.
We have ambassadors at universities around the country and people that have graduated that help with that's our sales force that we continue to grow. Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. What's your favorite part of your job, John?
I love my job. I love my career. I don't even really consider it a job. I mean,
Yeah.
I get to, I'm a really good listener, and I can hear and see things that people are just missing, that are hidden in plain sight to me. And so when I ask a lot of questions, I listen to somebody's story, and I can very clearly kind of see the gaps, and then rewind and help them rebuild a better system, filling in the gaps, which are just small little shifts to me, but big shifts and big impact to them. And when they have this kind of, epiphany, and they see things that in many times they've been hovering over the thought, but they never knew how to extract it or what to do with it, I can help make sense of it. And then build a plan, with them. So they have direction, validation, things prioritized, and then an action plan that is very reverse engineered to the simple, so they can begin to grow from the inside out and their business.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I hear from a lot of solopreneurs and people just getting started is that they can't afford to have a coach. So what would you say to those people?
Who can't afford to have a coach?
No, who feel like they can't, right? They're like, oh, I've got to do this myself first. And, it's cheaper for me to make mistakes for 6 months than it is to just hire somebody who's going to help me do it right.
That's, my recommendation is you find someone to invest in yourself. You have to invest in yourself, and you find someone, and that you invest in yourself, and you want to make sure you're on the right path moving forward, right? So if you're, so again, it's an investment. It's a solopreneur who's starting sometimes doesn't have the money, but they really got to ask themselves, if I believe in what I'm building and going to do, will the guidance get me there faster? I guarantee everything I do. I do no contracts. I guarantee all my work. And so that's what I tell people. I guarantee that I can get you there. You can get there on your own. I can just help you get there faster.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and
I was just saying, the questions that I ask you will take you to a place you cannot get to on your own, because you're just used to doing things and thinking of things the way that you do it.
Right.
And so, it doesn't have to be me, but find somebody who can get you into that space.
Yeah. And that's what I was thinking. You don't know all the things you don't know. You don't realize things that you take to be fact that are actually just some kind of a limiting belief or even a misconception, that you need that stuff shaken out.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Excellent. And how does it work for you? You said you don't have any contracts and stuff. What's like a typical trajectory for somebody who would work with you for coaching, like a solopreneur?
What I typically do with a solopreneur is they need about 3 hours of kind of a deep dive. I listen to everything that what they've done, where they've come from, what they're doing, what they want to do, where their goals are. I'm listening to everything, how they're growing the company, their business plan. Typically they don't have one, so I'm helping them build it in real time. Marketing, sales, avatars, just every little piece. And then building, kind of finding where the biggest gap is, and kind of, working backwards from that. After about 3 hours, and that typically can be one session for some, 2 sessions for others. After those 3 hours, then the cadence of clients that work with me, which is really beneficial to them because they can only receive so much, is 15 minutes a week or 30 minutes every other week. Mm-hmm. And some clients do 30 minutes a week because they maybe want to talk about their business, and then, people they're managing, especially if they're, where they are in the cycle. But because it's month to month, we say, okay, you know what, over the last 2 months, we've been doing it this way, but we can wean down some of the coaching. So let's go every other week instead of every week because your shelf life is now longer. And again, I don't want to overcoach anybody, but and I would say about 80% of the people that work with me never stop.
Yeah.
Some kind of have a finite thing, and they get to a space, or it's a long-term commitment. So meaning you can do it however long you want, but
Yeah.
compounds over time. And so it's nothing is a quick fix. We come up with an idea and a plan. You then have to build it and roll it out and train to it, and then all these other pieces come up that we train and simplify. So but I'm not one to ever pressure somebody. I don't want to coach somebody who doesn't want to be coached, and I want to work with people who want to continually grow.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's it. Your business is going to keep evolving. So you're going to have new questions, new issues, new challenges come up that, same thing.
Correct.
Why bang your head against the wall?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Well, in your book, the Think Big movement, like the I don't know what you call him, the main character's big challenge, right, is that he was growing his business and unintentionally. Is that how you would sort of summarize his challenge?
Yeah, he lost his passion. He needed to find his fulfillment. He needed to reconnect, and he's stuck, and he doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And so in the book, which you can download on my website for free, johndwoskin.com, in the book, he kind of meets a lot of characters, and through the characters, he begins to expand his network, be more open to ideas. He meets the main kind of life-changing character throughout his journey, who's got the biggest impact, and through it, the reader finds out how he reconnects with his fulfillment and his passion and his priorities.
Yeah. And it's easy for that to happen. I mean, when you were just saying that, I was thinking about a business that I had started. I started an import business because I love to travel and I loved shopping, and it just seemed like the perfect pairing. But I spent a lot of my time, fulfilling orders, putting shit in boxes. Right. And I was like, I don't like this at all. And I closed the business. I wasn't smart enough to find a coach who would say, help me to say, what is it about this business you actually enjoy?
Right.
Stop doing the other junk,
Yeah.
But it's easy, right, for an entrepreneur to get caught in the minutia of the day-to-day crap and lose sight of what it was they loved about the business in the first place.
Right. Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And coaching helps with that.
Coaching helps with it, sure, because you're surrounded by so many mentors and coaches. And a coach, if you have the right coach, they are selfless to help you, right? And they're really listening to the nuances and the cracks of things. Right. I had a new client that I started working with yesterday. They just graduated from an executive master's class at Yale.
Wow. So
I started working with them, COO role, and we went over things, and they were like, "Oh my God, this is," again, I'm not saying this to impress anyone, just to impress upon. We got really deep and granular on things that were very obvious to me, right? And I was pointing things out and then rewinding and restructuring and helping them rebuild something. And so I said, just out of curiosity, did they teach you this at the Yale program? And they said, no, they didn't. That is not a knock against Yale.
No.
But in my coaching, I'm not looking at theory. I don't know anything about the Yale program, so this isn't about that program. But I'm not looking at theory. I'm looking at real life and somebody's DNA, and how I can customize something for them to build based on their fulfillment, their goals, their DNA, and their energy. Yeah. Because then it's in alignment with them. It's not just something, right?
Right.
It's not something like, I read so many books, but then you think, God, I love this idea, but you can't put it into your life exactly how the book says. You have to shift it a little bit, right? Make it work for you.
Absolutely. And that's it, and even any program, you couldn't stand in front of a room of 2,000 people, 5,000 people, and give them all like some kind of thing that they could take home immediately. Like you say, reading a book, listening to even a really brilliant speaker, you need something that's fine tuned to your exact situation, your personality, as you were saying, that what's going to draw out your strengths
Right.
instead of just, just making, it's about making a buck? No, it's about fulfillment.
Yeah. Fulfillment. Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Excellent. John, I love talking to you. I can't believe our time is like whoosh,
I know,
flying
I
by
looked
so
at the
fast.
clock. I was surprised too.
It's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
So
I loved having you on my podcast, and I really am grateful that you're having me on yours.
me too. So
Yeah.
John, what do you wish I would have asked you that I didn't ask you?
Nothing. I mean, I like these to happen organically. I feel like everything you were supposed to ask was asked.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. So then I just need to ask, what's
Yeah.
the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Sure. They can call me on my mobile, 248-535-7796. They can go to my website, johndwoskin.com, or they can email me at john@johndwoskin.com. And I coach solopreneurs to fortune companies, owners, C-level execs, managers, salespeople. And I guarantee everything I do, unless I'm sleeping, I return every call, text, email, same day. And I help people who are successful and stuck. I get them unstuck, and I love what I do. Yeah.
John, I'm going to put your contact info on the show notes, but do you want me to put your phone number there too? Probably not. Huh?
You want, doesn't matter.
Okay. I'll try to make it in a way where robo dialers can't reach you.
Yeah. All right, good. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks so much for having me on the show.
I appreciate it too, John. You have been listening to John Dwoskin, who has just been like giving you just little hints, like little pearls of wisdom that'll give you an idea of what it would be like to really connect with him. And I suggest that you take that and do it. And while you're at it, forward this episode to someone else who 100% needs this type of advice. And be sure to be here with us next week.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.